Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you all for coming into the room. We are live for the War on Wellness broadcast tonight. Yes, I have my Instagram family here. We wanted to make sure that they were in the room. We have our Facebook group page, personal page. We have our YouTube channel, and we're going to welcome shortly our guest, Mr. Neale Davis, to the War on Wellness broadcast. I am so excited to be here, and I know that you're going to be blessed with the wealth of information and just the good old time that we're going to have here. And I am here every Wednesday, Plant Based Penny, for the War on Wellness broadcast, giving you food education and knowledge to help you look, live, and feel well. And this series that I'm doing here in February is part of Black History Month, and it's a series called Heritage Fusion, and it's talking about our culture, our lifestyle, and our wellness. And so I want to make sure that we are all empowered with the knowledge that we need. And I have here our special guest, which I will be bringing to the stage and allow him the opportunity to greet you and say hello. Make sure that you say hello in the comments. Say hello, Neale. Say welcome. We want our guests to this is our home, Plant-Based Penny family. So we want to make sure that we make our guests feel welcome. And if you're friends of Neale, feel free to say welcome also. So thank you, Neale, for coming to the stage this evening. Welcome. So nice to have you.
Good evening. It is a pleasure to be here, Penny,
Yes, yes.
especially when I get a chance to talk about my passion with health and fitness. And then, of course, during Black History Month, um, just as a former history major, so having a history degree, there is a special feeling that I get to be able to talk about that as well. So I'm very excited. Thanks again for the invitation. I
Oh,
truly
you're quite
appreciate
welcome. And let me just let everybody know, for those who may not have seen my previous little blurbs about this broadcast, that Neale and I are not strangers. We are not
it.
strangers. We've known each other. Gosh, I don't even know how many years now, but many
10?
years,
Yes.
many years. And so Neale and I met, and he was an instructor in the academy. Also, I still had the passion of fitness, and so I trusted him with my body temple. And he was able to whip me into shape. And so I thank you for that. Actually, some really good principles, as far as form and all that he shared with me. And that is, I've been able to continue to keep that in my mind. Now I could do a little bit better with the fitness category. So we'll say that. There's always room for improvement.
Understood. Understood.
But thank you for what you've poured into my life in the past, and I want you to introduce yourself to our audience, please.
You're very welcome. My name is Neale Davis. I am an exercise physiologist. I work with a company called ProMedica Physicians Incorporated, doing corporate wellness for Owens Corning Corporation in the Columbus, Ohio area. I've been in health and been involved in health and wellness as a personal trainer, group trainer, etc., for just over 20 years now. I've always been involved in sports and so forth. I was a former girls volleyball coach, girls basketball coach, boys basketball coach. So I did that as well. Health and fitness is my passion. As I mentioned earlier, I have a background. My bachelor's degree was in history, but I went back and got a master's degree in exercise science. And so it is something that I know that seeing my family history, seeing what has been causing issues in regards to our health in the Black community as well. I know that with the education that I have, with the passion that I have, with what I want to do to help people, this is a way of me playing my part in social justice.
Mhm.
So me a way of me playing my part in just helping our people to be the best that they are as well. Not that I don't want to work with people of any other races, but I have a particular passion because I know of the health disparities that affect African Americans, and so as a result, I'd like to utilize what my knowledge and my passion again to bring about hopefully some better health results for us. And I
I
think if
like.
I can spread that information, then we'll see much better results and people will be living a healthier quality of life.
I agree with that. I think it's so important that people can operate within their passion, because I think that's when you get the best synergy and you
Hmm.
get the best satisfaction, and you can be your whole self, and giving to other people. And so I advise people to actually do that, to work in your area of passion. And then it doesn't really kind of seem like work so much, because it is in your
Right.
God given gift. It is.
I love being able to see the improvement. Again, you talked about me whipping you into shape, just seeing the progress that you made, how you got stronger, how the endurance got there, how the looks changed when, hey, I need you to do 10 of these. And really, Penny's so nice and she's going to smile through it, but her face, it spoke volumes of really, I'm doing these squats. I'm tired of squats. I'm sore. This hurts. This aches, whatever the case was, but you did it, and the results were great. So that's something that made me extremely happy to be able to see the progress that you made, remembering the form and things of that nature that are extremely important, and it allowed me to again to utilize my passion. So as you mentioned, I was an instructor. I was in education for 25 years. So I was a teacher, was a principal. Um, and I'm still on faculty at Northern Virginia Community College, so I still do some remote teaching, and I've been doing that for 6 years, and teaching about health and wellness as well. So I'm excited about that. Excited about tonight, um, and I could go on and on. So let me
I love it. I love it.
again. Um,
So, oh,
I
I want
hope
to.
you can see that and want
Oh
to make
yeah, yeah.
changes after watching this.
Yes, yes, definitely, definitely. It definitely comes through. Want to say hello to Priscilla, who is watching. She says, "Welcome to Neil."
Hello, Priscilla.
So we want to welcome her as well. And so and all those who are watching on Facebook and YouTube. Facebook definitely.
Mhm.
So you alluded to something earlier. You talk about,
Yes.
your past and your passion, and African Americans in general. So what makes Neil Neil? And so that would be where you came from. So just think about your heritage, and I guess the oldest generation that you know of.
Okay.
Where are your people from, and were they urban
So
dwellers, country dwellers?
come from a West Indian background. So my
Okay.
mother was Jamaican, from Jamaica. My father was from Barbados.
Okay.
Um, and so it's interesting that we've been involved in, there was health and wellness. My aunt was a health professor and did that for over 40 years. My mother worked as a hematologist, was accepted into med school. She had biology as her career. My father was in mental health. And then when he ended up until his retirement, then he was working with AIDS surveillance. So in working with teaching people about sexual health and things of that nature. So health has always been something that we had, at the very least, we talked about. Lots of fruits and vegetables and so forth as far as how we ate. Unfortunately, the exercise aspect wasn't necessarily there as much. We know how difficult it is when you're not necessarily someone who's inheriting money, or you're paying back loans from schools or whatever the case is, and so as a result, work, we know work, how important work is and work was, and so that necessarily wasn't um, a gym culture where, okay, mom is going to get off work and go to the gym. Like that wasn't necessarily something that was going to happen. And so, as a result, I started seeing issues with my health history, my family health history, with diabetes,
Mm,
cardiovascular disease, um, just different chronic illnesses and diseases. And we're talking about people who didn't smoke or drink,
Hmm.
but still are suffering from these things, with diabetes and so forth. And,
Okay,
weight.
wait.
Yes.
Let me break in here for
Yes, ma'am.
a moment, Neil, because I think you hit on something.
Hmm.
So it sounds to me like you're saying that uh, people can live a pretty healthy existence,
Hmm.
be out in the fresh air. I'm guessing that your family, I don't know when they matriculated here, but looking back in your history, you saw some chronic diseases that are prevalent in the African American community
Hmm.
creeping into your family bloodline. And they
Yes.
weren't necessarily heavy smokers or drinkers or anything like that.
Right.
And
Correct.
and so you're saying that exercise impacts the chronic diseases? Is that what you're saying?
Most definitely. I do a segment on every Wednesday, Wellness Wednesday, that talks about just different health issues. Mental health as well is something I focused on a little bit more lately, but always talking about these chronic illnesses and the benefits that you get from exercise, issues that come as a result of not having enough activity. The Centers for Disease Control recommends 150 minutes of moderate to intense activity. Anybody that's seen my videos on a regular basis know that's a stat that I am constantly referring to, that particular stat. And again, it's for the most part, we're talking about people that weren't drinking and smoking, but still are still getting cardiovascular disease. My father died before retirement at the age of 64 from a stroke. Not a smoker, not a drinker, but just someone who didn't exercise.
Mhm.
My mother passed away from cardiovascular disease, from a heart attack. And so I've seen, and then other members of my family, another one who's, you know, lost limbs or lost their life from diabetes and things of that nature. And again, we're not drinking, we're not smoking, but we're eating too many sugary foods, eating too many foods that are high in sodium, and then not getting that physical activity.
So
The
so so
Yeah.
let's let's go off script here for a minute.
Yes, ma'am.
So because there's a lot of people in my family who had that same legacy here,
Hmm.
and so just trying to dig deep into and making sure that my family member, I got a cousin who's watching here, and
Hmm.
other family members. So what is it that exercise does that helps to combat the chronic diseases?
Great question. So when we're talking about exercise, I mean, first we can start talking about the endorphin. So, we can talk about mentally what it does. We know that work can be highly stressful,
Mhm.
especially if you're someone who doesn't like your job, but you know that you need to work in order to provide for your family. Um, so there are mental health benefits that come from exercise, but it's good strength training, for example, and cardiovascular exercise. Great for your heart. Um, if you're someone who already has heart issues, um, physical activity can reduce um, uh, the problems that you've been having as far as your heart is concerned. It's great for blood flow. It's great for cellular makeup, your cells, and so forth. There's so many different issues that come about that can be helped or benefited if we start to exercise. So even if you're someone who doctor said, you know what, you're diabetic, you have high blood
Mhm.
pressure, you have, you know, this type of cancer, exercise can reverse a lot of the things that come with it. Diabetes doesn't necessarily have to mean that it's a death sentence. So this is something that has to be done for the rest of your life. It doesn't have to be something where you have your medications Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and you're taking 4 or 5 pills for health issue after health issue after health issue. Exercise can bring about a change. Walking is a great way to start. So it's better than nothing. So if you're someone who knows I'm working at a desk for 8 hours for 40 hours a week, you definitely, if you're in a sedentary job, you need to start doing something. You're walking or whatever the case is. Hey, well, Neil, I live in a cold area. I can't go out for a walk to the park, whatever the case is. All right, let's go to the mall. If you know that you have a problem shopping with going to the mall, then There's an old mall everywhere somewhere that all they have is J.C. Penney and something
Leave
else.
your wallet in the car.
There you go. Go to that mall, the old mall that doesn't have any of the shops that you want, and go walk around there. You can do that. It's a great way to bond if you're married with your spouse. It's a great way to bond with friends. It's maybe a great way to bond with your kids. Hey, I want to see what's going on in your life, and you get to take a break from the cares and of the world, all the things that might be causing any problems, and get a chance to do that. But then there needs to also be, I'm sorry, Penny, did you have something? Did you
No,
want to?
I just wanted to ask, because you made a good point earlier. And so I just wanted to ask those who are listening either now or on the replay to put in the comments, if you know somebody who has high blood pressure in your family, put an H. If you know somebody who has diabetes in your family, put a D in the comments. Or you may need to put an H and a D,
Right.
because it may be
Right.
that high blood pressure,
Right.
diabetes, and also cancer,
Right.
C.
See.
Those are the top 3 chronic diseases for the United States, at least, and
Correct.
and globally, cardiovascular disease is a challenge. And so I just want to make sure we putting in the comments H for high blood pressure, D for diabetes, and C for cancer, if you know this to be the case. And yes, we got the H's and the D's showing up in the comments for sure. So
And what
this
you'll
is
see,
not
Penny, as well as with the health disparities, the problems that we have. If it's a problem in America, it's double or triple it in the Black community. And so, it is something. And even when we start looking at education, because again, I had educated parents, but you're still looking at people who ended up with chronic illnesses and diseases because of inactivity. So while you generally will see, okay, if you're in a pretty large metropolitan area, the first church that, as far as big Black churches are concerned, for example, they're going to be, generally speaking, in an urban area where you see where decay has happened, where you see the billboards for cigarettes, and you see the liquor stores and things of that nature. And many people would just say, well, that's just in this area where they have these problems.
By design.
Right.
By design.
Right. Oh, definitely. But you will also see that if you're someone who is not exercising, even if you're not dealing with the cigarette smoking and the drinking and things of that nature, even if you're quote unquote a vegetarian, my parents didn't eat pork either, to still develop these illnesses and diseases, we see what can happen if we don't exercise, if the activity isn't there. Gardening is great. So for some people who say, I just want to garden, or you know what, I'm not trying to fit into a size 2 dress, or I'm not trying to have a 6-pack. I'm content with my dad bod and my wife likes it, or my husband likes me to be a little bit meatier, whatever the case is. Great. However, you still need to get that moderate to intense activity, 150 minutes a week. That's 30 minutes a day for 5 minutes. That's 35 minutes for 4 days. So however you want to get it in, you need to get that moderate to intense activity, because we want to reverse these chronic illnesses and diseases. All of those benefits that come, the way you're feeling better, less stress. I just returned, from my physical, and getting, blood work is good. And, oh, this is great, Neale, and this is good, and this is good, and I like that. And, I'll be 55 years old in July. So that is the benefit. If a muscle or two comes as a result, great. But it's not even about that.
That's a great side effect.
There are people who are like, hey, I've trained people who I'm going to my class reunion. I want to fit in this dress. I want to make this guy jealous because he dumped me. It's my 10-year class. Okay, fine. I understand people who want to do things because, hey, I want to look better, or whatever the case is. I want to make sure you have the highest quality of life while you're on earth. That's why we're here. That's how you get to enjoy your children and your grandchildren and your friends and all of the things, the good things that life has to offer. We combat, dealing with the negative things by being in our best health. So,
and so I don't even think that you know this.
Okay.
But when I was living in Richmond, because I'm out in the boonies now, I received a diagnosis from a doctor who said I was pre-diabetic.
Okay.
And I said, so what can I do about it? She said, oh, you're just going to be diabetic. It's just going to happen.
Oh wow.
And but endocrinologist. And so, I was talking to Paul on the phone in the car, crying because I didn't want this to be my
Your lot
legacy.
in life. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
exactly. I didn't want this to be me. And so that was I can't remember what it was. It was in the mid 2000s.
It had to be
And
about 10 years ago or so. I want to
yeah,
say it's been about that long
yeah. And
because my
so
third graders are in college now. So
yeah,
they're
okay.
19 or 20 now. So,
And I started working out with you.
hmm
That's when I signed up to be one of your clients. And in doing that, I was able to go back to the doctor. And,
wow.
I did the working out part and also improved my diet.
Okay.
And in doing that, I was able to reverse that pre-diabetic state. And she said, "So what are you doing? What are you doing?" So the work that you're doing helps people be able to go back to their doctors, get off of medicine,
hmm
improve their health. And so just imagine if 10 years ago that I was, pre-diabetic, became diabetic,
Right.
I'd be on medicine for like a decade now.
hmm
Or
Right.
insulin rather for a
Pricking your
decade.
fingers, a
Yeah,
daily
yeah,
prick.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wearing a pump or whatever
hmm
it might
Right.
be. So just being able to avoid that is really helpful. And so I wanted to ask you,
hmm
looking at so your heritage. So what is it about the relatives or your family heritage that influence who you are today?
I definitely see the reason, the passion is definitely more there. I think because of that. A friend of mine named Jeff Henderson. Uh, Jeff, it's got to be close to 60 now. He introduced me to weightlifting. He still looks 20 years younger. But he introduced me to weightlifting. I started seeing the results immediately. I graduated from college, 120 pounds. I'm about 45 pounds heavier now with muscle. But I started seeing the results, immediately. And people would ask me, "Hey, how do I work this muscle?" This type of thing. At that point, I'd just been working out, hadn't done any studying, hadn't gotten a certification, didn't go, wasn't thinking about getting another degree or anything of that nature, and in health and wellness. And I started seeing results personally, and I started hearing, and people asking me, and so that is what got me into the health and wellness arena. Now, in regards to my family history, I see even more so why seeing the legacy of diabetes and stroke and high blood pressure and heart attack and so forth. I'm even more passionate to talk to people who might be similar to my parents. I come from a Seventh-day Adventist tradition where we don't drink or smoke. Um, for the most part. It's one of our beliefs. We're not eating pork. Many of us are vegetarians and things of that nature. But for people who aren't active, they end up seeing many of the same results from people who do drink or smoke and so forth. And so I wanted just to educate people on the importance of physical activity. It just so happens that I enjoy doing it. I enjoy seeing the results that people get. But I think um, the legacy that I've seen from my family in regards to some of the health issues that they had, I want to make sure that there are others who can at least be educated on what they can do, or at least have some motivation to be a little bit more active, so that they don't have these issues later on in life. So their quality of life is something that's a little bit more enjoyable up until the time that we're called home. Um,
Right,
that we
right.
can be in the best possible shape for as long as it goes. I always say I'm going to do this until the wheels fall off. So in my 90s, I intend to still be, God willing, if I get that amount of time, to still be exercising and working out and doing some of the things that I'm
Mhm.
that I'm doing now. And I'm
Right,
hoping that
right.
people can see, oh, this is somebody who's in his 50s who's doing this. 60 is right around the corner from me. So seeing that, I'm just hoping that it can rub off onto someone else. And so that's one of the reasons why I take this so seriously. I
One,
see what happened with these people. I want to make sure that I can, the good things that I learned from them is great, but that I'm not dealing with these health issues the way they're dealing with it, and that someone else won't have to deal with it as well.
right, right. I mean, and there's even a text that says, "Why die before your time?" Sure, we're gonna die, and people say,
Right.
"Well, I'm gonna die from something." They say you can't eat anything
Right.
nowadays, but the scripture says, "Why die before your
Mm-hmm.
time?"
Right.
So God has given us a body temple to take
Correct.
care of, and we
Right.
only get one,
Oh,
and so
definitely.
one go around. So and also it's not just that, but also you want to have mobility
Correct.
versus
Right.
disability, having
Right.
mobility, and having abilities. So I want to ask those who are watching you, just put a thumbs up or a like or a thank you in the comments to let Neale and I know that this is helpful and useful information. And if you agree with it, just put a thumbs up and a like, and we would appreciate that as well. And so Neale,
Mobility. Yes. Real
mobility
quickly,
is a big
mobility.
thing. Go
So
ahead. Yeah,
important. Osteoporosis, another chronic illness and disease. Again, why work hard till you're 65, 66, 67 to now in your retirement stage, now you're dealing with osteoporosis or the loss of a limb or replacement, knee replacement, these kinds of issues, simply because we didn't take care of ourselves. So
yeah.
mobility is very important. We know that my grandmother, I remember she fell and broke her hip, and it just seemed like things just kind of went even more downhill from there for her. And many people don't recover from that because the loss of independence happens, and now um, physical and the mental are not in agreement, and so we end up having problems as well. So mobility, very, very, very important. Glad you brought that
Yeah.
up.
Yes. Yes. We want to say hello to Lorraine Edwards, who's watching, Priscilla Easley, Joe Johnson. So thank you all for watching as well. Uh,
Hello.
Terrell, Tonya. Yeah. So thank you all for watching. We appreciate that. We appreciate that. You know, the so while I have you
Hmm.
on here, so what can people do if they have the osteoporosis, or is that too late at that point? They having the joint pain, or they might be up for um, recommended for knee surgery.
Hmm.
Is it too late at that point, or what can people do?
That would be something that's up to the doctor. However, it doesn't necessarily mean, well, I already have osteoporosis and nothing else I can do. We know calcium is important. So now we start plant-based diet. You're eating more of this plant-based diet. Start eating more of the green leafy vegetables. Um, you have to stop doing the salads with ranch dressing and all of these other things, and totally going against the purpose of eating the healthy food in the first place. We drown it in dressing and drown it in all this cheese and all these dairy products. We need to eat a
Bacon
healthier.
and
Yes,
all kinds of stuff
right.
on top. Yeah,
With just a little bit of lettuce, or sometimes it's romaine. I mean, it's iceberg lettuce with
iceberg.
no
Right.
nutritional value. So it starts with, now we have to change our diet. What can I do as far as my diet is concerned? What exercises can I do that can hopefully strengthen my bones a little bit, to where maybe with some physical therapy, sorry, with some
Let there
physical
be
therapy, I guess I just wasn't moving enough. But where there's some physical therapy that maybe, all right, we can do some things in regards to mobility. I mean, I have some people who it's not necessarily an age thing as far as osteoporosis is concerned, but I deal with people who have shoulder mobility issues. These are some of the issues that we deal with. So there are things that can be done. It's just a matter of how far gone are we. Am I slouched over so much, that I have these problems, and with problems walking and things of that nature. It all starts with your diet. You start changing your diet, start changing those habits, we can start seeing a reversal of some of these things. It may not necessarily be to where you're standing upright, but it doesn't. A diagnosis of osteoporosis doesn't mean that for the rest of your life you are to walk, you know, slouched over to where it just continues to get worse year after year without making any changes to try to combat that.
So you
So,
know what I'm hearing? You know what I'm
mhm,
hearing? I'm hearing that a diagnosis is not a death sentence. So
correct.
whether you're diagnosed, in my example earlier about the diabetes, whether
Hmm.
you get the diagnosis that you have high blood pressure, you get the diagnosis that you
Right.
have diabetes, you get the diagnosis that you have cancer, you get the diagnosis that you have
Cardio,
osteoarthritis.
cardiovascular disease, heart
Yeah,
disease, you can still reverse that. And so, yeah, very, very, very important. You have to exercise. Yes, not a death sentence. It may be something where the doctor says, "Hey, you only have this amount of time to live," and it may be that ends up happening. But to get a diagnosis and then not make the changes, that is the thing. To just simply
yes,
say, "Well, this is my lot. This is something I'm just going to have to deal with," is it's never going to change. That's the problem. At least let's try to fight this. And yes, we can talk about chemotherapy and all of those other things, but let's make the lifestyle changes. Let's change how we eat. Let's change our physical activity. Let's start doing. Let's go to bed earlier. Our stressful thing. Let's talk to a therapist about your stress. If it,
yeah.
let's up our prayer for those who are prayers. Spiritual. Let's up our prayer life. Let's read. Bible is the book you read. Let's read that more. If you read the Quran, let's make sure that we
Mhm.
are doing things that are going to benefit us mentally and physically, emotionally, all of those things. And I think we would not even, I know we would see changes happen if that's what we did. But what happens is we get that diagnosis. Oh, well, this is my lot in life. This is it. It's not going to change. So let's make sure we're making those changes, and we can see benefits beyond our wildest imagination.
Right, right. And it just might surprise us. Uh, so doing what we can with what God has entrusted us with. So
Hmm.
even like, in the parable of the talents, don't just
Right.
bury it,
Correct.
use what you have. What can you do? And so I think that's so important. Now, I wanted to ask you this question because
Hmm.
my husband and I touched on it a little bit last week in our
Okay.
interview. And so there is this theory, I guess I'll call it, that African Americans or Black people in general just don't
Hmm.
exercise. We don't exercise. We it's just not our thing, you know.
Right.
So what is your take on that? What do you see? What do you see? I guess in generations or people that you work with. Give us
I
the
think
skinny on
let's look at the context. So if we start, let's go now. I'll put my sociology hat on. So we know there's an economic disparity. So if you start with that, so you're looking at someone who is considered to be poor in America, making, let's say, $20,000 or less. I think that's the number. It's somewhere around that area. You, generally speaking, are going to be you're going to have to work two jobs. So you're most likely working 12 to 16 hours a day just to make ends meet. It is going to be very difficult to have the time now to exercise if that's the issue. If you're someone who, let's say, is working a regular 40-hour-a-week job, um, now you're looking at, all right, children. How do I navigate my life with children? We generally will throw ourselves into, parent teacher meetings or doing parent things, or this one is going to soccer, this one has music lessons, this one has this, that type of thing. We've heard the stereotype about, well, Black women they don't want to exercise because they don't want to get their hair messed up or whatever the case is. It's a very small amount of people. I think one thing that you will see is that across the board, white, Black, Hispanic, and Asian, Native American, the more education a person has, generally speaking, the healthier outcomes that they're going to get. Um, and so that's something that we have to take into consideration. So it is not necessarily that Black people are averse to exercising, but we have to look at what their situations are. Look at financial situations. If people, when people have an opportunity to say, you know, I can get a gym membership, or I can pay my electric bill. Well, we know the gym membership is good. They're going to lose. If you're in an area where it's a food desert, we have one grocery store, and that
Mhm.
grocery store is 20 minutes away from where I live. I have to catch the bus to do that, or I do all my grocery shopping at the corner store. You know, that type of thing. That is something that has to be taken into account.
So are
Um,
you saying, Neil, that if you're, because okay, let me show you the comment we have here
okay.
from one Facebook user saying Black woman in
Mhm.
general not exercising, and my response is that they're busy making life better for everyone else. And so
Okay.
the question is, so are you saying, somebody's coming up with
Walking is free. Yes.
walking is free. And
Yes.
so, yeah, that's exactly where I was going. Thank you
So
very much. So,
good
are you
point that you
saying
made about
they can't
making
do
life better.
anything
So my
else?
mother, again, was someone who, hey, she's putting, children through parochial school. So hey, I'll work a double shift on a Sunday. I'll work 16 hours. I'll someone else is out. Let me work this extra shift because I want to make sure that I'm help. And this is again somebody with an education, middle class home, 5-bedroom house. We weren't rich by any stretch of the imagination, but hey, I'm trying to make ends meet. I'm trying to do these things. I'm tithing 10% of my salary, which could be used for something else. These types of things. So again, that was her thing was, hey, I want my children to have an education. I want you to be able to do better and to do well and so forth. And so exercise just on the priority list just wasn't there. The mistake that we make is our health should be next to God, should be priority, the next biggest priority. Now, that doesn't mean that you neglect your husband, doesn't mean you neglect your children. You still want to be the best possible parent, you want to be the best possible spouse, but you have to make time for your health. If it means that this is the time when the family is going to meet, we're all going to meet around, now everybody has a big screen TV. We turn to YouTube, and we can't afford a gym membership. Okay, fine. It's cold outside. Fine, I hear you. Hear all those excuses. Well, the things I want to do, I can't do because I can't get to them. You can do some calisthenics in your home. You go to YouTube and click on a video, and
Wait,
there
what's
are
the calisthenic?
thousands that
What's the
so
calisthenic?
calisthenics, walking, jumping
Okay.
jacks, all those types of things. So you can do those things for free. You can do that, in your spare time. Hey, I only have 20 minutes I'm going to get home and I have to cook. I have this amount of time to decompress. That's all that I have. That's fine. Um, if you know that, all right, I have to cook for the week and I'm the only one doing the cooking, all right. If you're someone who's in church on Saturday, do all your cooking on Sunday. If you're in church on Sunday, do all your cooking, do all your cooking on one day and have everything prepared for the week. And then that way you're going to have more time where you don't have to come home after working 40 hours and you finish code switching and now you've come home and all right, I get to relax. Hopefully in the news somebody wasn't shot. That makes you remember that could have been my son or my nephew or whatever the case is, because we know these are real things that we deal with. Everything can be fine, and then all of a sudden we hear, well, someone put a knee on someone's
Right.
neck and killed him, and
Right.
now there's the trauma that comes from that. So I get the trauma. I get the, hey, I have to make life better for everyone else. I may be a single parent. All of those things, I get all of that. However, if you don't make time for exercise, you will not get to enjoy the grandchild. You won't get to enjoy seeing your child graduate from school because of the education that you provided for them. None of that you'll get to enjoy because you're not in your best health. So that is something that we have to take into consideration. There are several running clubs. For example, I was at Capitol Hill Church. I used to be a member there when I lived in the DC area. Big running club from Capitol Hill. So as far as people talking about exercise, we had group exercise classes, every Sunday, that I taught, and then there were two other classes taught during the week there. So I've seen where churches are doing more to get people involved, not just having the kids play basketball, whatever the case is. So this
Right.
exercise is starting to take place. It's just a matter of making sure that we stick with it. That's where the problems come. Great point, Penny. Yes, you don't make time for wellness, you're going to make time for illness. So
Yeah. Yep.
that is
One or
something
the other.
that's important. But we're exercising more than you would think. It's just a matter of making sure that this is more out in the forefront. It's easier for people to argue about, women being men and women arguing about the women are overweight or dad bod this or whatever the case is. That's a sexier conversation than, oh well, this group has a running club and look at the great things that they're doing, or this group they meet every 2-3 days a week to exercise together as a group. That's not a sexy conversation.
That's true.
You overweight woman, we're tired of you. That's a sexier conversation. That's something that people want to talk about more, and where we're pitted against each other because well, you're this and you all aren't doing this and you're not doing that type of thing. So because that's what we hear, we think that that's the case. That's not the case at all. I've had plenty of clients who were black or black women, and so forth. So we hear that, and yes, we see the results as far as obesity is concerned. But again, once you start looking at education, once you start looking at poverty levels and so forth, you will see that people who are generally lower on the totem pole as far as poverty level, all across the board, have the same health issues, have the same education issues, have the same crime issues, all of those things. And again, it's a lot easier to talk about shootings in Chicago than all of the people. Everybody I know, for the most part, is educated. So all of my friends are, things of that nature. But who wants to talk about that when you can talk about this two gang members that shot each other? That's just a sexier statistic to talk about. That's something that people like to talk about, those things. So yes, we hear that, but we can't be fooled by what is being said about crime and health and education and these types of things. Yes, there's more black men in prison than there are in school.
In college, yeah.
Right. Things of that nature. Yeah. Right. So again, those things are sexy, but the ones that are in college are doing well, and these ones are doing well, and these people are exercising. Yes.
And why are there more black men in prison? What is the system that funnels them there, starting with the fourth grade? Let's not even get me started there. Okay. All right. That's a whole other broadcast.
The war on drugs. So how many people are there for marijuana and things like that?
And how many for-profit prisons? Anyway.
Right.
Y'all gonna have Face Penny get on her soapbox. We're gonna get off the war. We're going to social justice today on this broadcast live.
Right.
They lose a sponsor, but anyway.
Right. Look at the crimes 1972 on, and let's see how many people have been in prison for that.
Right. So, exactly. And then let's compare them to their counterparts, or having ADHD and how many times the police was called to the school versus them going to counseling anyway. Yeah.
Right. All of that. Yes.
Let's come back.
All right.
So somebody says, Facebook doesn't like their comments. No, it's just I haven't shown your comments, sir. Okay. And it says, oh no, that's my comment. Wait a minute, where is this comment? It is
buy a mat and do some crunches.
Do some crunches.
Amazon, $10. TJ Maxx, Ross, Target. Marshalls, Target.
Yeah.
Walmart.
Dollar store. I was in the dollar store.
Oh, okay. A mat is $10 max, maybe 11.
Get a towel. I mean, most people have a towel in their house. You buy the beach towels when they go out of season, whatever it might be. But there's really, I tell myself this too, there's really no excuse for it. I live 30 minutes away from a gym, the closest gym for me, but I have a little path outside my house.
Right.
So, in the wintertime, just bundle up is what I have to do. But even like you said, you can just cut on YouTube.
Right.
Because most people watch it, then cut on YouTube and not sit down and watch people exercise, but actually, actually getting up and do that. So, I want to wrap this up.
Okay.
So what can we do? And we kind of touched on a little bit, but what can we do to live in wellness? You know, despite the diagnoses,
Right.
despite what's going on in our culture to suppress certain people or to influence or to depress
Hmm.
them, because we know that exercise even helps with depression.
Correct.
So what steps can people take to implement exercise or either increase exercise in their life? I mean, they may not be able to go to the gym, or pay for a personal trainer
Hmm.
or anything like that. But what are just some simple things that people can do to actually make an improvement in wellness, in their wellness, their overall wellness?
I'm a big believer in goal setting. So I think you have to start there. Um, I've often heard people say, and I'm going to go off on a little tangent and I'll come back to the question. I've heard people say, I can't do it, it's too hard. And I'm looking at this person, I'm like, but you have a PhD, you have a master's degree. I know there were some classes that were difficult, that you struggled in order to get that done. You've never quit on anything that you've done. Why quit on this? Because you don't like it? Excuse me, because it's uncomfortable? Why quit on that? So a couple of things. I'm big on goal setting. So we start setting goals. All right, here are my fitness goals. I want to be able to exercise 3 days a week. Like maybe that's the first goal. Okay, I've been doing that for a while. All right, here's the new goal. This is what I want. I want to order, if I'm ordering fast food or eating junk food, I want to eat that. How much less? I want to do that less. That can be one of your goals. Um, in regard to your mental health, I want to de-stress and ways that I can do that. I'm going to, maybe get involved in some group counseling or deal with some grief counseling or something that I've just kind of um, allowed to be or something that I've allowed. I'm good, thank you. Something that I allowed to kind of take over me and cause me problems. I haven't been able to shake this. I'm dealing with this grief, or I'm dealing with a troubled marriage, or something is going on with my child. Like, I am going to make it a goal to try to fix these relationships that might be causing stress, or see what I can do with my job, that's causing stress. Whatever is causing us the issues or is causing you not to work out. My attitude towards exercise stinks. I don't like to exercise. I just don't want to do it. So we want to work on our goals, and then we want to make it happen. All right. If you're going to a gym and hey, pack your clothes from the night before. I don't want the excuse of, I forgot my clothes, and by the time I go home, I'm already tired. All right. What videos am I going to watch? Hey, I'm someone who's in my 30s or 40s or 50s. I'm overweight. I'm not bouncing around like that perky instructor with the ponytail or whatever the case is. That's not something I can do. All right, I'll do a walking video. Or, all right, we're going to organize a group that's going to go together and walk. Or, hey, I'm going to go to my church and see if, hey, can we get a fitness instructor to come in twice a week? Let's see if we can get a group of people who want to exercise but would do better in a group setting. We don't necessarily want to go to a gym, but hey, we can buy some bands and have certain equipment and have a fitness instructor do something with us, and then we can do it together as a group, and we can do that. So that's something else that you can take into consideration. So all of those are things we can do. You have to do it. You have to start somewhere, and you have to start with some goals in mind. It can't just be I want to, and then it doesn't change. You wouldn't accept it in your marriage. You wouldn't accept, you wouldn't accept abuse, let's say, for example, in your marriage, and just say, well, I don't want to change it. I'm not going to do anything about it. You're going to try to fight to make sure that changes. You're going to try to make sure, at work, you stand up for yourself. Because we're big at, hey, I don't want someone taking advantage of me. Well, why let this food now take advantage of you? Why is this bag of chips doing it? Why is this cake that you're eating? Why is
whoa. So
Hey,
you're saying we're abusing our own bodies.
Yes, and loving it on top of that. Like, hey, how about this vegetable? How about these vegetables and fruit? Nah, Give me some more of that. Give me it. Who'd sign up for that? Hey, you eat this food. These are the results that are going to happen. It's going to happen. So yes, you might have this person, they can eat what they want and they're still skinny. That's a freak of nature.
And then that's not your
Right,
issue.
right,
You need to
exactly.
focus on you.
Exactly. So it is something we got to stop accepting this abuse. They're getting us with the chips. We like the crunch. We like that sweet taste. We like the salt, or we like the salt and sweet together. We like all of these things, but it is wreaking havoc on our bodies, and we are not going to be able to be at our best selves eating this stuff, not exercising. Why work this hard to either not even make it to retirement, or your retirement is a poor quality of life after that because you couldn't take care of yourself.
When you die right after
you have to do it. You have to. You can't quit. We don't quit on anything else. We're not quitting on our kids. For the most part, we're not quitting on our marriages. We're not quitting on church. We're not quitting on our jobs. Why? Because we see those things as being important. This has to be just as important. So very important. We have to get that there. So that passion is now starting to come out of me.
No, that's fine. That's
fine. We have to be. It's
right.
It's so frustrating because we're accomplishing all these things. We look at, what's happened from 1965 with the Voting Rights Act and Civil Rights Movement, and all of these Dr. this and this first Black this, and all of those accomplishments. Let's now have the same thing in regards to our health. Let's be all right. I'm the first person in my family not to have diabetes. I'm the first person, I'm living the longest life in my family. I didn't get cancer. I didn't get, osteoporosis. I didn't get high blood pressure. Like, I'm the first person in my family not to get that, or, I'm losing my eyesight because of diabetes, or I lost a limb, or whatever the case is. I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing in regards to my health, just as I'm doing it in my marriage, just as I'm doing it in my work, with my friends, and so forth and so on, with my parenting. All of these things, we have to try to be the best versions of ourselves.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it. It is going to be, so tomorrow, if we did one thing, give us the one thing, Neale, if tomorrow, or planning tonight for tomorrow, because we don't want to say that, okay, March 1st, I'm going to start something, because, people start things
correct
far days away.
Right.
So what is the one thing that somebody can take with them that they can do that's going to help them be the best version of themselves?
Make a change. So a change has to take place in something. So if it's, I'm going to exercise, I'm going to walk, again, I don't know how it is where you live, it was 60 degrees today, for example, in Columbus. All right, I'm going to walk, or I'm going to that mall that's, not a big mall anymore. I'm going to walk. I'm going to eat something differently. I know when I go to work, I don't prepare and I buy whatever junk food. I'm going to buy something healthier tomorrow. I'm going to make that change, or I'm going to sign up with a nutritionist, or sign up with a personal trainer. I'm going to look at my budget to see what I can afford. As much as I like to make money from personal training, my biggest thing from it is I want you to be your best. So I'm going to teach you as much as you can. Penny mentioned, she worked with me for a short period of time, and I tried to teach as much as I could to her in that short period of time. You may say, all right, here's my budget. I can afford a personal trainer for 3 months. This is what I'm going to do for the 3 months. Whatever it is, a change has to be made. So if you say, I don't think I can do it on my own, I need professional help. Well, let's look at your budget and see what you can do to afford somebody who can help you with that. Make a change. One change has to be made tomorrow or tonight to be prepared for tomorrow, because that one action will lead to doing it the next day and doing it the next day, and so on and so on. And I think once we do that, then we see the changes take place. If you struggled in school at first and then did better, you're not going to do the same thing over and over again and expect the result to be to take place. Yes, change is now. Get out of that bag of chips. Does it really taste that good?
It does, because they put stuff in it to make it taste good.
So,
but the discipline,
right.
and knowing that it's a specific effort
Hmm.
against you to
Right.
get your money.
Correct.
Basically, it's
Yes.
to get your money, and to get your money either through you buying the product again, or get your money by putting you in the system
Hmm.
of, the health care
Right.
system or the pharmaceutical system, whatever, by any means necessary,
Right.
as Malcolm X
Where
said.
you're hooked. No.
Yeah.
So the quick conspiracy theory. I would not be surprised. Again, I have no proof. So disclaimer: I would not be surprised if many of those industries are investing in healthcare because they know, all right, we're giving them this. All right, we're going to make the money from them buying our product and consuming our product. And then they're going to need whatever with healthcare. I'll invest in that as well, because we know that there are people who um, invest in certain things and then they invest in prisons as well, because
Right.
the
Right.
expectation is there are going to be so many people in this particular prison. So again, I
System.
have no
Yeah.
proof, but I would not be shocked if the same people who are giving you that junk are also investing in health related things that they know you're going to need this
Yeah.
tablet for diabetes. They know you're going to be taking, this for high blood pressure. I'm investing in those companies because I know the people eating this product, which is junk, they're going to need this later on in life. So let me make it.
Oh,
I'm
there
making
is, the
money here.
proof
Make our
exists
money
out there.
this right.
The
So
proof exists. The
right,
proof exists. And I invite our Facebook, our YouTube, and our Instagram listeners to do the research for themselves, because
right,
the information is out there. Freedom of Information Act is out there.
right.
The information is accessible for you to know that you are a pawn. So
Hmm.
if
Right,
you choose, so you can
right,
choose the red pill or the blue pill. You can choose which direction, which path you're going to go down.
hmm,
And we're not beating people up.
right,
People make a choice. If you fall off a little bit, get back on again.
right.
Continue to try, like Neale says, and make it a priority. Make yourself a priority.
Correct.
And Neale, this has been great. We could continue
Oh,
to go on all
I
night,
enjoyed,
to
thoroughly
fight
enjoyed
the
myself.
power, to fight the
Yeah.
power of our own personal discipline, of our nature, of understanding how our heritage, it influenced, and there's a fusion between our culture and our lifestyle and our
Hmm.
wellness. It really is an intersectionality, and it really is connected. And so we
Right.
thank you. I want to see you guys put some hearts, some thumbs up, some thank yous in the comments for Neale. I want to say hey to Shy, who's also watching. Hey to Paul, who's also watching as well. We appreciate you also, always, each of you that are watching. And I want to make sure that you know that every Wednesday, the War on Wellness is here, and it is definitely here to be able to help you reach your goals, as Neale said. So Neale, I want to make sure that people know how to reach you.
Okay.
So your email address, let's see, where do I have that? Yes, your email address we have here is neildavis3@gmail.com. So
Mhm.
you can reach out to him there. Do you do any type of virtual
I do. I do. I provide online training as well. So
Okay,
if
very good.
someone is
Very
interested in that, just hit me there. Every
good.
Wednesday,
And you're based.
I'm based in Columbus, Ohio area.
Okay, very good. Very good.
Um, I also have a Wellness Wednesday segment. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. If you mind putting that up, don't mind putting that up. My Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn as well, where the Wellness Wednesday segment is there, and it's something dealing with wellness, usually centered around that particular month. So this month is National Heart Month, so I've dealt with some of the benefits of physical activity for your heart. Um, I think touched on, for ladies, cervical cancer and the benefits of exercise, the cervical cancer month in January, diabetes, all the chronic illnesses and diseases. During mental health month, I did a focus on something regarding mental health, whether it's depression, anxiety, that
Yeah,
type of thing.
so you can go to Neale's YouTube channels and catch all of those. He has a plethora of videos out there, some great views too,
Mhm.
Neale. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
So it doesn't matter if you're in the Ohio area or not. He's available to help you with that. And so copy down, take a screenshot, or
Right.
take a picture of your screen here for his Instagram, the real Neale Davis Fitness,
Hmm.
Facebook and YouTube, Neale Davis Fitness. And so we want to thank you so much for being with us this evening.
And
And
also, Penny, I'm sorry.
okay,
Uh,
yeah.
um, Willing and available to speak at your, for your church or your groups, things of that nature as well. Health and wellness is my passion, but I also deal with education and so forth, and historical things as well. But if you're interested as well, I'm available to do that. Love to do that as well. Want to share that. But Penny, thank you so much for this. I totally enjoyed it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, maybe we'll have you back again. We got people saying good stuff. We got some thumbs up. And so all of that is great. And so we do appreciate that. And we will show a word from our sponsor, Neale. I'm going to ask you to hang out in the waiting room
Okay.
for 1 second. But thank you.
Oh, you're
We
welcome.
really
You're welcome.
appreciate you. It's great
Thank
to
you.
see you again.
Great
And
seeing
thank
you
you
as well.
for all the success that you have shared with us today on the
Sounds
War
good.
on
Thank you
Wellness
very much.
broadcast. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have had an exciting conversation in our heritage fusion, our culture, our lifestyle, and our wellness. And next week's guest, I'm excited, is going to be Jackie McDonough. Dr. Jackie McDonough is going to be here, and she's going to be talking about homesteading. And so she's just going to share with us her heritage as well and how it informs who she is today and what she's seeing on the horizon for African Americans and people in general as it relates to that. So thank you so much. And we're going to go out with our outro. We'll see you next week.